everyone, Prof Sales coming at you with another video, and today's video is the first video in what I hope to make a series which I'm going to tentatively call Fact or Fiction, Reseller Myths. This series, the point of it is to address some of the myths that are out there and some of the facts that are out there about reselling, and give you some insight on whether or not you really need to believe these things or they are in fact fiction. The reason why this topic has come up lately in my mind is that a very well-known YouTuber recently posted in a very large reselling group his experience about a thrift store chain sharing his reselling videos, that someone told him at the store that they were sharing his videos to help them research items. And immediately the response to this person was, see, that's the problem, all you YouTubers out there making reselling videos, and it's pushing up prices at thrift stores because they're watching you, and because they see that you have these items that are, worth a lot of money sometimes, that you're picking up from their stores cheaper, they're pricing higher. So I wanted to address that issue. Is in fact the issue that, is it true that thrift stores are raising prices due to reseller YouTube videos? Is that a fact or is it fiction? Now, first off, obviously I'm a reseller and I'm also a YouTuber. So you're gonna say right off the bat, hey, you have a bias. And you're right, I do have a bias. However, that doesn't mean I'm wrong just because I have a bias. What we need to do in these situations, in every situation like this, is really think through the process and think through the question and examine all the potential factors that would factor into a store's decision on pricing and how they go about deciding the price. So let's talk about that for a moment. First of all, thrift stores are businesses. They are not charities. They are not community service organizations completely. They are businesses, and as a business they have one very simple overriding goal, is that is they must move product. They have to move product to stay in business. Now the reason why that's important is moving product requires some calculation on their part in terms of what the market will pay for a given item and how quickly it will turn. So let's give you an example. Let's say that you're running a thrift store and you take donations, as the major thrift stores across the country do. And someone brings you a big batch of shirts and jeans and shorts and pants and so on. You could take the time to research all those items on eBay or Amazon, or pick your poison, and realize that, hey, this pair of jeans is worth $20. This pair of jeans is worth $10. This shirt over here is going for $30. This pair of socks goes for $8. Whatever, doesn't matter. But reality is you need to move those items for a couple reasons. One, you need space because your showroom floor and your back room will fill up very quickly if you're not moving items. And two, you need income. You need income coming in because you have the overhead of running that building, you have taxes, you have the salaries of your people who work there, you have all these expenses, your marketing budget that you have to account for. This is no different than if you're a reseller. You cannot continually buy and buy and buy and put and bring stuff in without selling it. Eventually you run out of capital. Eventually you run out of space. Eventually you realize that you've spent all this time and not made any money. A thrift store is no different. They must move items. So this idea that they can price everything up to what the secondary market is for those items is right off the bat false. Because think about what the majority of the items are in a thrift store in terms of the number of items. Clothing. It's clothing. There's no thrift store that I know of in the country that has less clothing than it does any other item. They have the most clothing of any type of category of item. And their clothing is bulk priced. It's $3.99, it's $4.99, it's $5.99. Yes, they do pull certain items out from time to time, but that is such a small fraction of all the items that they have in clothing. It's just not even worth it. I mean, count up the number of items that they have in terms of clothing, and then look at how many items they have that they want to have a special price on. It's not even 1/10%. It's not even close to any major factor. They must price that clothing to move and keep dollars flowing in. That's just a reality of business. A second reason is watching videos is time intensive. Most of us who make reselling videos make anywhere from, I would say, maybe 8 to even a 30-minute video. And if you look at the hangout shows and so on, those are even longer. Those can be an hour long. The reality is we don't put in the title everything that's going to be in that video. So you would literally have to watch the video from start to finish to see every item that's in it. Does it make sense that a Goodwill manager, a Savers store manager, a regional manager, a marketing person, whoever you want to look at, ops, is going to sit there and sift through the hundreds, if not thousands, of reseller channels out there, and podcasts, and videos, and so on, forums? I mean, you can even throw those in there too. Those put out all kinds of information. Are they going to sift through all that to find the occasional one-off item that they may just happen to see come through their store once in a while? Does that really legitimately make sense in anyone's mind? How in the world would they have enough time to do that? Even if you pick, say, 5 of the most popular resellers on YouTube in terms of maybe subscriptions and said, I'm going to watch every video they put out, you are committing to watching hours of videos per week for very, very little gain on the off chance that an item or two that these resellers have mentioned will come through your store. And that kind of brings me to another point. Researching these items is easy on eBay or Amazon or Bonanza or any of these sites. All they really have to do is when they get an item in that they think that is worth something more than, $3.99, they can look it up. They can look it up. It's very quick. They can scan the barcode if they have a scanner. They can type in the ISBN if it's a book. They can, search it on eBay with keywords or Amazon. It's so easy, so much quicker than watching dozens and dozens of videos just hoping to find a nugget. Why would you do that when you've got the item in front of you and you say, all right, this item might be worth something more than we think, so let's look it up. Instead of, I'm just going to watch videos for hours on end and hope that occasionally I see something that may help us? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It's not productive. It's not a good utilization of an employee's time. If these stores want to price their items based on the secondary market prices that you find on these e-commerce platforms, no amount of YouTube videos or no shortage of YouTube videos is going to stop them. There's nothing to stop them. They easily can do that anytime they want. If they bring in a Blu-ray player and it's a Toshiba Blu-ray player and they want to find out how much that's going for on Amazon or eBay, all they got to do is type in the name and the model and they can look at solds. It's so easy. It's free. It doesn't take any time. Why in the world would they go through hours and hours and hours of YouTuber videos to find that out? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And that kind of takes me to another point, that you need to think about who shops at thrift stores. Who shops at thrift stores? And the economics says that most of the people who shop at thrift stores are looking for a deal. They're not coming in there looking to buy something for $40 in the Goodwill love case. That's all the items Goodwill really loves so much, they price them so high they don't want them to sell. Could that happen? Of course it could happen. But the majority of people who shop in thrift stores are fall into 2 categories. One is resellers, as many of you are. And 2, it's people looking for a deal. If you're coming in there looking to clothe your children for school cheaply and buy them a bunch of $3 shirts and shorts and pants and $4, are you really going to go spend $50 on something in a display case? Not likely. And the majority of the people who shop these stores are bargain hunters. They're bargain hunters. This goes back to a fundamental misconception people have about economics. You cannot continue to raise the price of an item You cannot continue to raise the price of an item without affecting demand. Demand eventually drops as price rises. Now, there are exceptions to that. If you need water and you're thirsty or you have no access to it, you'll pay a high price for a bottle of water. But we're not talking about those sorts of things. We're talking about things which are not necessities. They're not even commodities. These are things that people just want to go buy. So this idea that savers can watch a YouTuber video on reselling and decide that they're going to take an item that sells, let's say it's a board game. Let's say it's an in the plastic board game, in the shrink wrap, and let's say that on Amazon it sells for 25 bucks. We'll just say that's the price. Now, that game might only normally be $4 or $5 if they just threw it on their main game aisle, right? It's not going to be much more than that. But they say, someone looks it up and says, oh, I see this sells for 25 bucks on Amazon. Well, we're going to put it for 25 or 30. How many shoppers are going to come into that store looking for that game and be willing to pay that price? How many? I would say the number is approaching 0. And the reason for that is, again, it goes back to the mindset of people who shop these stores. They're not coming there looking to pay full retail. If you want to go pay 25 bucks for that game, you can go to Target or Walmart and buy it for 25 bucks. And I've seen items in these display cases sometimes that are priced higher than Amazon and eBay. This is incredibly wishful thinking from these companies. Did you ever notice why there's not a lot of items in these display cases in relation to the total number of items in the store? Why? Because if you priced all your items at the secondary market prices, first of all, you'd have to spend tremendous amounts of time and energy researching all that. Tremendous amounts. Imagine if you had to scan and look up every single item that came through the back door of a Goodwill that got donated. I can't even imagine the manpower that would take. We know as resellers how long it takes us to do. Imagine you'd have to have an army of people doing nothing but that. Most of these stores don't have the manpower or the payroll to do that. But even if you were able to do it and you priced all these items, if you started putting out True Religion jeans for 40 bucks on your sales rack and you put out there, an Apple charging cable for $15.99, think what happens to the people who shop that store who are looking for bargains. What are they likely to do after they see day after day and week after week of these high-priced items? They're going to leave. They're going to go somewhere else. They're not coming to Goodwill. They're not coming to Savers. They're not coming to Salvation Army to pay a retail price. They're not coming to pay the Amazon or eBay price. Thrift stores, in a lot of cases, are not much better in terms of pricing than yard sales. That's just reality. They're more because they have the overhead of the store to run. But they know that their bread and butter is turning items quickly. And to turn items quickly, you've got to price low enough that people are willing to forego some quality issues. They're willing to forego the idea that, hey, we only offer 7-day returns, or maybe we offer no returns. Well, if I buy this item, it's only $5, I'm out, and I have to return it, and maybe I forget and don't get here in 7 days, no big deal, it's only $5. They got to overcome all those concerns that buyers are going to have. These stores are not full retail type stores. They're not catering to that type of customer. So this idea that they're going to watch our videos and go in and start pricing everything up to the secondary market price is just fallacious. It's just not true. It's not true. It wouldn't be wise. It would destroy their businesses. It would destroy their business model. And likely, if they did that for any period of time, they would probably go out of business. They would go out of business. Ask yourself sometime the next time you walk into one of these stores, just go over to the jeans, which you guys know I sell a lot on eBay on jeans. Go over to the jean aisle and say, suppose they priced all these at the eBay price they should be at, which I would say on average would probably have to double, if not more, to equal an average price. If a store has 500 pair of women's jeans in it, and the stores around me sell for $4.99, Goodwill for instance. If they wanted to price all those jeans to the average price, even just the average price, those jeans would go for on eBay, they'd probably have to double their price. I wouldn't doubt it at all, because some of them would push it up really high. There'd be some $15, $20, $25, $30 pairs of jeans in there, and none of them would be lower than $5. I mean, the only time something like that sells lower than that on eBay is if somebody does an auction and it sells for 99 cents or a buck or something, and that's rare. That's rare. The average price would probably have to double just on jeans. How many people, if you doubled the price of jeans, would come there and buy it? I can tell you, it'd be very, very little. I had an experience with this not too long ago. I went to a thrift store a few cities away, and their prices for their jeans were about double what I was used to. There was no one in that store. No one. Their prices on lots of things were expensive. Just crazy, ridiculous prices on things that were damaged and really not anything special. They just were throwing it out there, seeing if they can get it. And yeah, they will get one or two here and there. That's true. But people are smart today. And they have an expectation when they walk in on what the store is going to charge them. If you walk into a Mercedes dealership, you don't expect to come out with a $15,000 brand new car. It's not going to happen. On the flip side, if you walk into a Walmart, you don't expect to pay the same price you would pay for something at Pottery Barn. It's just not the way it works. You have a core set of customers, and these thrift stores are not going to alienate these customers by pushing prices through the roof so high. I don't care how many damn videos we make. I don't care. It doesn't matter. They're not going to push prices so high that they alienate their customer base. It would be a disastrous decision for them. So anytime you walk into one of these stores and you see that a price on something is higher than you think it should be, just remember, that's kind of like them throwing a hook in the ocean, just seeing if they'll catch something. They're just throwing it out there. And they can always pull it out and throw it back on the counter for a lower price. And they do sometimes. I've seen that at many stores. I've seen items that have sat in display cases for 6 months plus. Think about that for a second. 6 months plus in a store like a thrift store where they've got to turn merchandise? That's ridiculous. That costs them money. They could be setting something else in there. Or it's an opportunity cost in terms they could have sold that item in a lower amount and reinvested that capital in something else. It's a dumb decision on their part. And sometimes they will do it, but it's a tiny fraction, a tiny, tiny fraction of all the items they have in their stores. It's not even worth really talking about. If you walked into these stores tomorrow and all of a sudden all their clothing prices had tripled, which is the majority of their store, and all their hard good prices had tripled, all right, you got a point. But even there, I'm going to say, it has nothing to do with resellers, because they're not, think about it this way. The people shopping these stores are not in the same mindset as eBay and Amazon shoppers. They're not. So they're not coming in expecting to pay eBay and Amazon prices. It's really just that simple. They're not walking in the door thinking, I'm going to pay the online price for this item. You know, the efficient market price. You can talk about online prices maybe being efficient in terms of a market, as close as we got. Because, but a thrift store price is never going to be efficient like that. And if they make the decision to move more in that direction, it will fail, it will backfire. It will absolutely backfire. But I think we can safely say that this idea that thrift stores are pricing items because of YouTube reseller videos really doesn't make sense. And it's absolutely a fiction. I don't care even what they say. They probably think if they tell people, like they told this particular guy, they probably think if they tell him that, he'll continue to make videos because he's not going to quit making them, and that other people will see that as well. And maybe they think, well, all right, if they keep making these videos, then maybe we can justify some high prices on a few items here or there. But it's still not going to be their bread and butter. Not even close. It's just not. I don't know. I don't know their thought process there. I would say that whoever told them that probably was lying. They're probably lying. Maybe they were just pissy, thinking, man, these resellers making all this money off of our hard work. While meanwhile, they're making hard work off of donated items in a lot of cases. There's no moral high ground here that anybody has. But I just think that this whole idea is just completely ridiculous. It's just not true. It's people, getting upset because all of a sudden, they saw something they were buying at one price is now a bit higher and they don't want to pay it and their profit margin shrunk. That's the way business changes. That's capitalism. Capitalism is going to do that. The market's going to fluctuate. It's never going to stay the same. Prices over time tend to rise anyway due to inflation over time. But, I think we can put this myth to bed. And I know some of you may or may not agree. Feel free to leave me comments down below. I'm an open-minded guy about things, and I can be persuaded. I just think that we're such a tiny niche of the reseller community that does YouTube videos. I just don't think it has any impact on prices at thrift stores. I think it's so insignificant. I mean, I've had managers at stores, and I know other resellers have had the same, who have welcomed us in. Welcomed us in. Now, if a store is going to welcome in a reseller, and this is a major chain who did this, if they're going to welcome in a reseller, you really think they're going to price things so high that we won't buy them? That doesn't make sense. They know if I come in and buy 20 pair of jeans from them, I'm helping cull out their jean collection. I'm moving product for them. I'm putting profit in their drawers. What does it matter if I buy the 20 or 20 other people buy the 20? It doesn't matter. They're going to have another 20 pair of jeans tomorrow dropped off. They don't care about that. They just need to turn items. That's the way it is in retail. You got to turn your inventory as quick as you can. You want as many turns per week, per month, per quarter, per year as you can get, because that puts profit back on the balance sheet, and you can start using that to, increase and grow your business, which they are a business. So that's my rant. If it was a rant, I don't know if it was really a rant. I don't think it's a rant. I'm not upset about it. I understand why people come up with these ideas and they sound good maybe in their head, but when you really stop and think about them, I don't think it really makes sense. I think it's just faulty thinking on their part, and if they took the time to walk themselves through all the steps and all the contingencies, I think they would see that their idea it doesn't hold water. So in any case, please leave me comments down below. I'll be glad to reply and clarify anything I said. If you disagree, that's cool. That's great. I don't look at arguments as personal. It's never personal for me. Argument is how we evolve and grow. If we all thought the same, I don't think I'd want to live in that kind of world where we all thought the same about everything in every case. It'd be very boring, and we would never really grow and evolve and adapt or change. So please leave me a comment down below. Please hit the like button. If you like this video, there's going to be more of these fact or fiction coming out, because I've got a whole list of topics in my head about that I want to do on various subjects in the reselling community and so on. And I hope they will at least get you thinking. Even if you don't agree with me, the whole idea that you will go and now think about this idea, that's going to make you a better reseller. If you understand your business better and the concepts about what's going on in your sourcing and so on, and you're going to be a better reseller. Even if you don't agree with me, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We can agree to disagree, but at least it'll get you thinking, which will help you, I think, in a lot of ways. It'll help you evolve as a reseller, and I know it helps me. And when other people tell me their ideas and their beliefs, I try to examine them and learn something from them. Even if I don't necessarily totally agree with them, I always learn something, and that's important. So please consider subscribing to Prof Sales so you can get every single one of these videos whenever they come out. And as always, this is Prof Sales saying good sales to you.